A lot of people have come to me asking for my opinion on the Street Fighter V trailer since they either want my opinion on some of the new mechanics shown or they lack the discerning eye I have in fighting games. I figure I ought to make a video talking about what I immediately thought watching it for the first, or, more accurately, first 10 times. For posterity's sake, I'm making this video following the Street Fighter V announcement and gameplay trailers only, and not even Capcom Cup, whatever they show there. So it's really early and I don't want to say too much, and what little I will say will largely be speculative. I'm a little scared Capcom will get on my case if I use clips from the video, so I'll be using stills for all of my observations. Link in the description if you want to watch the trailer for yourself. Um, I suppose the game looks good visually. The game is definitely 3D models fighting on a 2D plane, which seems to be the direction that Street Fighter is going in now. I don't really mind that. I always really liked sprites, but models are absolutely fine. I've seen some comparisons done of the graphics in Street Fighter 4 versus Street Fighter 5, and it seems the models in this game are built off the ones in Street Fighter 4. From a budget perspective, that's kind of smart, I guess. A lot of the old fighting game players will remember how much mileage Capcom got off the alpha sprites, which were used in like CVS2 and the early Marvel vs. games and stuff like that. The stage they're fighting on appears to be Hong Kong, which makes me wonder about Yan and Yang's inclusion, especially considering where this game falls on the Street Fighter timeline. So, for those of you watching this that actually care about the Street Fighter timeline, and heavily assuming that Capcom actually cares about it, there's two main chronological timekeepers in the Street Fighter universe. One of them is the progress of Ken's marriage, and the other is Ryu's struggle with the Satsui no Hado. Ken's not in this trailer at all, but we know that Eliza's his girlfriend in the Street Fighter Alpha games, his newlywed wife in Street Fighter 2, and she's pregnant in Street Fighter 4, and he has a young son in Street Fighter 3. So the generally accepted timeline is Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 3. Street Fighter 1 must come first because it's the only game to feature a pre-scarred Sagat, who's scarred for all later appearances. So for Ryu's struggle with the Satsui no Hado, it's in every game. The only canon time he's lost to the Satsui no Hado was the climax of Street Fighter 1. Long story short, Sagat had apparently won or was winning, and he was helping Ryu up thinking that he'd beaten him, but Ryu grew so angry at his loss that he pulled off a Masatsu Go Shoryu, which tore Sagat's chest open. This super is present as one of Evil Ryu's attacks in Street Fighter Alpha 3 and Street Fighter 4, and as one of Akuma's supers in Street Fighter 3. Now, Ryu in Street Fighter 4 has a signature Shinku Hadoken, but his two ultras, are borderline Satsui, represented by the kanji Metsu, which means ruinous or destructive, and the color purple, which is historically in the series associated with the Satsui no Hado. In Street Fighter 4, Goken reveals that he is still alive, and during a storyline challenges Akuma with the stakes of who gets to raise Ryu as a pupil. There isn't really a canon victor shown, since, as the player you sort of whatever. But by Street Fighter 3, Ryu has his signature Shinku Hadoken still, but he's lost his Metsu attacks, and his other two supers are Goken's two ultras, the Shin Shoryuken and the Denjin Hadoken. From this, it's safe to assume that Goken won the battle with Akuma and returned to training Ryu following Street Fighter 4's conclusion. Where all this fits in now is that Ryu is shown using the Denjin Hadoken in the trailer at 1 minute 3 seconds, and he's never had this attack in previous games, so it stands that while we don't know if this game happened before or after Street Fighter 3, it probably happened after Street Fighter 4, which probably won't be that surprising to most of the people watching this. On that subject, supers look like they have some pretty short animations in this game, which I like. We have no idea if Ultras or any other version of Super Supers will be in the game. They weren't in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. I have mixed feelings about the idea of long animations because on one hand, normal people who aren't really integrated with the FGC tend to be interested in that sort of thing, like YouTube videos of all the Ultras in the game and stuff like that. But when you're actually playing the game, it slows gameplay down tremendously. So I like, supers that don't take a whole long time to do, which is the way they did it in Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Chun-Li is shown jump canceling the final hit of her super, which is kind of similar to Street Fighter 3's Hoyok-sen, so it kind of implies that they're sort of a mid-combo thing. I don't know if all supers are going to be like that. Could just be Chun-Li. Could be a sort of rare thing. There is a guard break. Hold on. There is a guard break shown at 56 seconds. This was an often requested feature for Street Fighter Cross Tekken and Street Fighter 4 to make the games more offensively oriented. It would sort of punish characters who defend too much. Chun-Li is definitely blocking during this string, and then she's thrown back in an animation that's really similar to Street Fighter Alpha's guard break. So it's pretty clearly a guard break, and then she's shown getting punished following it. I've seen a lot of people talking about the Denjin, but there are two important things that I haven't seen anyone talking about related to Denjin. One is a stun mechanic. Denjin historically inflicts a massive amount of dizzy, and I shouldn't be surprised at all if dizzy is still a mechanic in Street Fighter V, and I would be only slightly surprised if they included a dizzy bar, since that's a frequently requested feature in Street Fighter 4, and they seem to be trying to grab a lot of requested features. The other thing Denjin implies, though, is an alternative to blocking. Because in Street Fighter 3, you had to parry Denjin, as it was just straight up unblockable. And they got around this in Street Fighter 4 by making it inflict. They added Denjin after they'd already made the game system because it was an Ultra 2 for Gouken, so it was added for Super Street Fighter 4. They made it still inflict dizzy even when it was blocked, although that didn't really come into play very often because you can't actually get dizzy when you're blocking an attack, even if it pushes you beyond the dizzy threshold. Judging by the fact that guard breaks are in the game, and the fact that Denjin is in the game, I find it very likely that either parrying or some new alternative to blocking will be present. Someone forced to defend themselves from a guard break with parries as opposed to just blocking because they can't block or else they're going to get guard broken would be pretty easy to balance, and it would be very exciting while not being it's not a meta game present in Street Fighter 3. So I think that'd be a really cool thing if you got knocked down to the very end of your guard bar and you had to start parrying attacks because you couldn't block anymore. It'd be kind of a high skill. It'd be kind of an exciting thing at tournaments. Chun-Li, at 34 seconds, launches Ryu with her down forward short, the little flip kick thing. I find this very interesting because this is unnormal and presumably meterless, naturally launching in a jugglable way. This heavily suggests that juggles will be an ingrained and possibly universal system of comboing. In Street Fighter 3, some characters use juggles to do their combos, while some characters use cancels or links to deal damage. Compared to Street Fighter Cross Tekken and Marvel, which have universal launchers. Launching was something very rare or expensive in Street Fighter 4 because it would often lead to easy Ultra connections, because Ultras, you couldn't cancel into an Ultra and they were generally too slow to link into, so juggling for most characters was the primary way of landing them. This game doesn't appear to be too restrictive with launches, and I actually really like that because juggling is a system. Unlike linking, when you drop a juggle, you lose damage that you could have gotten if you'd finished the juggle. But if you drop a link, you lose all the damage you could have gotten from the link combo, and you sometimes get punished because you're going into unsafe moves or just because they're mashing Shoryukens or SPDs or things like that. And sometimes you're even so unsafe that you get hit by like a Geef Ultra 1 or something. So dropping juggles, it's still a good idea to pursue max damage combos with juggles, but you're risking far less going for difficult juggle combos and compared to difficult link combos, which is something I really resented about Street Fighter 4. Now, sort of the most obvious new feature, Chun-Li at 39 seconds does some sort of charge attack, and Ryu does it as well at 53 seconds, so it's suggesting it's a universal mechanic of the game. Chun-Li's special moves following her charge all seem to have improved properties, from a double fireball, a double Hyakuretsu Kyaku, which is not the same as her super, since we see her super later in it, unless characters have multiple supers. But that appears to just be a regular special move, or, an enhanced special move, based on this weird stance. And she does a vacuum spinning bird kick, too. And we see a normal spinning bird kick as well. So this seems to be enhancing special moves in a manner similar to EX. It seems to be a sort of halfway between Sagat's Angry Scar and... Sagat's Angry Scar costs meter to do, but it can only be used for a single special move, but you can do that special move at any time. And Street Fighter Cross Tekken's charge attacks, which are free EX versions, but have to be used at the time of charging. So it's sort of somewhere between those, but it seems to also apply to any special move that you do. And I don't know if it'll be necessarily the next special move that you do, or if there's some way to choose to do the enhanced one after you do the charge, or something like that. This charge could be available based on meter, or you might be able to only do it with low health, or it could be something you just need to do enough charging and then, it activates, similar to King of Fighters Extra Mode. And it should lead to an interesting new dynamic. Let's see here. There's a ground bounce shown at 37 seconds in. It'll be returning from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, in which lots of jumping attacks, such as Raven's and Ibuki's jump roundhouse, would slam the opponent into the ground. A lot of people are calling this an OTG state. Well, it's Chun-Li's roundhouse that juggles Ryu. So I don't really see Chun-Li's roundhouse as being an OTG attack. I consider it more likely it's a unique knockdown rather than a unique pickup caused by that weird Tensei Ranka move. I guess I should comment about the wall break at 52 seconds. It appears to be a hard end to the combo, so it doesn't appear to be a combo extender, like Tekken wall slams and wall breaks. It might do a lot of damage while ending the combo similar to stage transitions in Injustice, or it might be a purely visual thing, like the bathhouse stage in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, which you could like open up by throwing the opponent into the wall. You could get like the other side of the bathhouse. It might just make the stages seem a little bit more dynamic. If it is a huge damage ender, it still makes you avoid the corner, but it kind of makes you harder to corner. I have to wonder if all the stages are going to have things like this, or if stage selection is going to be more of a factor in gameplay. Ryu at 34 and 39 seconds is standing dramatically differently than he is at round start. Round start, he's just sort of doing his little classic bounce. But he's got this weird stance that I've never seen before at those two timestamps. And this could be something you activate mid-match, such as the fighting styles in Mortal Kombat Deception, or even as elaborate as a style choice you decide before going into the match, similar to the variation system in Mortal Kombat X. Remains to be seen. At around 1 minute, we see something that looks like a series of links. It kind of looks like stand jab, stand strong, low forward. So it's safe to assume that linking is still in the game. However, Capcom has been moving away from one-frame links as a system of skill measurement in both the 2013 edition of Street Fighter Cross Tekken and the recent Street Fighter 4 rebalances. So I shouldn't be surprised if they're more in line with link combos from Street Fighter EX series. Another thing I idly noticed is that Chun-Li seems to jump dramatically higher than Ryu. This could be a large dissonance in jump heights among the cast, or it could be that there are multiple jump heights depending on the input, similar to super jumps or even hops in King of Fighters. There's no meters on the screen and no indication of a super meter system anywhere, although the characters do use supers, so I think it's safe to say it's not gone, it's just not shown. That Tensei Rankai ground bounce move that Chun-Li uses at 36 could be a charge-up enhanced move, or it could just be a regular special move she always has access to. It's really hard to say so far. I tried to look for indication on whether Chun-Li is a charge or a motion character, but I couldn't tell with this little footage. A lot of people say it looks very mechanically similar to Street Fighter 4 in the comments of the YouTube video. I agree that it'll probably be true, that it's very mechanically similar. The thing in which a lot of people don't realize, though, is that very small changes in a fighting game can dramatically change how people play it. The core elements of Street Fighter have all been present since Street Fighter 2, but you can see how dramatically adding parry affected the footsies of Third Strike, Street Fighter 3 series, how adding activations and custom combos affected Alpha, how focus attacks, focus cancels, and crumple affected Street Fighter 4. Like, Ryu has the same 3 special moves in every single game he's in with the occasional extra one. And although Ryu changes probably the least of most of any character in Street Fighter, he's gone from an effective zoner to a slow heavy hitter to a quick balanced character, just completely depending on the engine. Keep in mind also that there's going to be a large number of new characters probably, so each individual new character adds a lot of new matchups to the game. Just as some closing, I'm going to be going in on Street Fighter V. I'm going to be playing it a lot, and I'm going to be making a lot of videos from it. But remember, I'm not paid to do this, and I'll be juggling against my Ultra Street Fighter 4 guide making. But I don't expect a lot of people to like Street Fighter V immediately. Compare it to Street Fighter Cross Tekken. If there's too many returning characters and mechanics, people will just want to go back to the game that they're already good at. And if there's too many new characters and mechanics, similar to Street Fighter 3, it'll alienate a lot of the previous fans. I feel like I could have swayed a lot of people on the quality of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, so I hope this time, if I'm actually there, I can keep us English speakers up to date on the emerging high-level strategy and sort of sway people towards the game who want to give it up in favor of, games that they're already good at or whatever. I'm just going to end this video with a wish list. I really hope there's a lot of new characters, since the characters Capcom have created have typically appealed to me a lot more than the returning characters. In particular, I really like the Tekken side of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and since most of those characters seem to have no future in Capcom games, I hope that there are some spiritual successors to them. In particular, I really like Raven and Christy a lot as unique playstyles. I really hope Oro comes back in this game, since it seems to be a bit more juggle-friendly. It wouldn't be as stupid to have him in it, since he's my main from Third Strike, and gameplay-wise, he's my favorite Street Fighter character in the series, and I guarantee that if he's in the game, I will main him without looking back. I also really want Urien, Necro, 12, and Remy to make reappearances, since I quite like those characters. All of them are really unique playstyles who've been absent for a while, and 12 in particular has never had much of a chance, and I wonder what he would be like in a game where he wasn't bad. Apart from that, I'm really going to enjoy coming back and watching this video in like 3 years' time to see how well I did on the predictions. So I guess that's all.